During the week of the 80th D-Day commemorations, I was with an agency for 4 days. We started off at Pointe du Hoc, as the C-130s went over. Then we went to Omaha Beach at Waverly. There were hordes of people and jeeps, and some C-130s went over. There was a warship with a helicopter pad and some jeeps on the beach. Then we went to the Overlord Museum, where there were hordes of people. And a helicopter went over. Not the C-130 this time. Oh, there were trucks, half-tracks, tanks. These are German half-tracks. That's a Sherman with a 76mm gun, a Weasel, an M10 or a tank destroyer, German half-tracks. There's the American half-track taking people around the track. That German truck's got wheels at the front so it can go over big bumps. And jeeps, and jeeps, and more jeeps. Well, this one's got the bar welded on the fender to snag cables that the Germans have put across the roads to decapitate drivers. That's a Panzer Mark II. Now this guy can see what's coming. It's a King Tiger. I've never seen a tiger, even a normal tiger, working in Normandy before. There's one on a plinth near Moutier. Ran out of fuel trying to get into the Falaise gap. Then I went into the museum, take some B-roll of jerry cans for a video I'm going to do on jerry cans. They've got a Panther in there. It's set up as if they're repairing it in the field. Now normally the cemetery is just less than 5 minutes away, but the bus got halfway down the road and we had to stop, and we did the last bit on foot. The bus never moved for over an hour. Now on the 5th, I had a different group. We started off at Angoville au Plain. That's where 2 medics treated up to 80 men in a church, because there were jeeps. Then we went to Utah Beach. And there were jeeps, more jeeps, and Dodges. Now most of the jeeps are Willys jeeps, and you can tell the difference between them, between a Willys and a Ford, by the cross member just behind the grille. On the Willys it's sort of rounded, on a Ford it's a rectangular form. So that's a Willys. This is a Ford truck. Ugly looking thing. And then the C-130s went over. And this is the Roosevelt restaurant at Utah Beach, named after General Roosevelt, who led the attack here. Then we went inland to Merville, where there's the famous parachute of John Steele hanging on the church. And a museum, that's the original museum from 1964. That's a C-47 one from 1982. Operation Neptune was 2013. And they just opened a new building, the Waco. And this is the first time I've been in there. And they've set the Waco up, which was in the original building. They've set it up now as if it's landed in a field. So there's a jeep coming out of it. That could hold a jeep, or it could have 12 men in. Could weigh 3 tons. It's like a flying tent with a steel tubular frame and balsa wood wings, all covered in canvas. That's a Citroën Traction, loaded up. A Piper Cub, that was used as an observer plane. The near tank is a Hellcat. That's an M7, which is on a Sherman chassis. The men call it a Priest. And there's the tank running on the Sherman with the engine hatch open so we can see the engine. The Hellcat. So reenactors in their camp. So these men 101st. Of course, the Merville was the 82nd area. Half track with a quad machine guns on it, 4 Browning machine guns, searchlight with its control booth. And more jeeps and jeeps. Two Navy jeeps. Not sure what this giant truck is called. Some ammunition boxes and rations. Here's the Hellcat again from the side. His 105mm howitzer. A medic for jeeps with the stretcher on the hood. And there's another bar for snagging cables. Now this is a Rhino hedge cutter mounted on a Stuart tank. It was Sergeant Cullen's idea to do that. Shermans with 75mm guns. This is a M7. Sherman chassis. The soldier shaving in his dugout. There was a precision parachute drop into Merville. There's 3 down. There's 1 more coming in. Seems to be some way away. Now that didn't go too well. As my group was going to the cemetery, big ceremony there, I didn't have to go. So I went to Arromanches on the 6th. Of course there were jeeps and trucks. There's a photographer with a plate camera taking photos. There's some of the photos on the ground there. And he had a portable dark room. Because there were hordes of people there. Anti-aircraft gun on the roof. That's the new museum, opened last year. There was a ceremony on for the Dutch. Now, the Dutch had 6 warships in the fleet on D-Day and dozens of other ships. And then in August, the brigade of the Princess Irene, they came in alongside the British airborne fighting on the Bavant. Some veterans. And there was a duck in the sea at Arromanches, taking some people around on a little joyride, and a tank landing craft, or LCT, landing craft tank. And there was a duck on the beach. This is where the landing key for ammunition came into the town. That was kept separate from the main dock. In case it blew up, it wouldn't do so much damage. There's a duck there. a GPA, sort of amphibious jeep. Now that road on top of the cliffs, there were ducks going out to ships just inside the harbour. They'd be loaded up with stores in netting, loaded into the duck. The duck would go up that road to the top of the cliff. They would transfer the stores in the net into a road going truck, and that would go inland. Of course, the average age for soldiers in Normandy was around 25. Some gendarmettes on horseback. Then I went along to Hillman. Now, Hillman was just behind Sword Beach. It was Colonel Klug's headquarters. A lot of the strong point has been renovated, but there's still some outposts, gun positions, Tobruk's in the fields. That was where Morris was. That was taken by the Suffolk Regiment, as was Hillman finally. That's the cupola at the end of the bunker, just here. You'll see the inside of it soon. This is Colonel Klug's bunker. There's a machine gun covering the path in front of it. Water tank for drinking water. And to the left would be the storeroom for the coal for the central heating. It was a luxury bunker, being for a colonel. Machine gun, and a machine gun there as well. Now the radio operator was the only person in the radio room. Nobody else was allowed in there. Now this side of Hillman can be visited any time on the outside. The inside the bunkers only open sometimes. This German soldier came back after the war to visit. He slept in this bunk here. There was a periscope that would go up to look out at ground level. He went up through that hole there. This is the bunk in Colonel Klug's office. That's his table. Desk, I should say. That little hole was used to pass messages to the radio operator. This is where the cupola was. Went up that ladder. Colonel Klug at his desk. This is the air conditioning or fresh air system. They turn those handles by hand. That would bring in fresh air. The bunks for the men. Be 3 levels of bunks. Potato masher grenades. Now they were handy to throw. They weren't very powerful though, compared with the pineapple grenades the Allies used. That's a central heating boiler. And this is inside the machine gun covering the passage in front of the bunker. And this is the Tobruk on the outside of the bunker. So you had the distance to all the churches they could see. Now this bit of trench is still here because the Germans built this bridge over the trench, and so the trench is still there. All the other trenches have disappeared. Now down here was the kitchens. This room has been set up as it would have been, with a table and the pans hanging on the wall, and the stove in the corner. And this is the eastern defence post. From here they could see to the east, and they could see Rover up there. That's Ranville. The chimney was the cement works, where a lot of cement came to make all the bunkers. Still there today. This is the eastern defence position. Escape hatch. Then the northern defence position. And the escape hatch. While I was there, a young lad went in. And he went out up the ladder. .57mm anti-tank gun. It's got the 2nd Division badge on it. Now this tank has only just recently been put up. It was laying on the site for about over a year. Very rusty. They repainted it. Put it on this plinth. It's a Churchill. There's a folding bike on the front of that truck. The soldier's life on the front was long periods of inactivity and boredom, interspersed with frenetic action. And this was a well. They bring water up from here to fill up a reservoir that was used for washing, firefighting, making concrete. Then I went down to Sword Beach. And there were some bagpipers tuning up. So they've got the same sound to play together. A Spitfire Mark 9. And the bagpipers get ready for this ceremony just by the statue of Bill Millin. The commandos landed this end of the beach, which was the eastern end, they were to head to Pegasus Bridge after taking Ouistreham. The other end of the beach was the 41st Royal Marine Commandos. They were to go along the gap between Juno and Sword. They didn't meet up till the 7th. Here's some of the French commandos, commanded by Commander Kiefer. Léon Gautier died just last year, the last remaining French commando from D-Day. Then they went along to Luc-sur-Mer, which was taken by the commandos on the 7th. There were some pipers there, Brittany pipers. The 7th was the craziest day of the week. I had the same bus group as on the 5th. We were supposed to do the American Cemetery, Omaha Beach, and then to Arromanches. We were going to the cemetery because there were C-30s flying past. Then we tried to make our way along the path by the beach on the cemetery. And there's a big crowd because there was two bands playing. And then suddenly the guard said, "We've got to clear the cemetery by 12. It was about 11:45. So we headed back to the bus, and the bus wasn't moving. So then we thought, well, we go down to the beach. So I went down to the beach, and I explained the beach to them. Went past the monument of the 1st Division. Then back in the cemetery, the buses weren't moving, so we just sat there waiting, and they told us we couldn't leave until the Marine One had landed, because the President was going to Pointe du Hoc, and instead of landing at Pointe du Hoc, they decided they'd land at the cemetery. So after 3 hours, the motorcade came in. There was some strange vehicles, must be full of security equipment. Then we heard Marine One coming in. The cars already started to move out, or getting ready to. Once Marine One landed, the motorcade would be leaving to go to Pointe du Hoc, and the vehicles started getting out. Our bus driver did a bit of forcing to get us out. So we were going out the normal entry, so the buses couldn't turn right normally. So we went across the lawn to swing round. Will you get through the trees there?
John, you can do it, you know.
Ah. Go around.
Jöjjenek erre felé, és akkor föl tudunk szállni.
And we were out. 4 hours we've been there. On the night I had a private group in my car, and we got stopped by this motorcade. That was a Rhino hedge cutter on a Sherman. And there's the Hellcats again. bulldoze on a trailer here. The whole parade took an hour to go past, but it kept us occupied. The parade had to stop for some reason, and this half track wouldn't start again. They brought up this other half track to jumpstart it.
Tu montes? Je m'arrête dès que t'as mis en route, tu klaxonnes.
So we finally got to Omaha Beach. There was a bagpiper stood on the bunker there. WN 72. There's some reenactors on the beach. On the 9th, had another group in the bus, a different group. We went to Arromanches. There were some veterans there. And half track with a jerry can. The sea wall there was built by the Germans during the war. We went up to the 360-degree cinema and some C-130s flew by. Some impressive statues on the top of the cliffs there. This soldier pulling his comrade along the beach. Then at the end of the day they left me at the Memorial Museum in Caen. There was a jeep in a crate there. Haven't seen that there before. These jeeps would be brought in crates. And there was an assembly line at La Combe where the German cemetery is, which of course was an American cemetery in a camp hospital. And the French people be paid to put them together. Then I went upstairs to see the table where Rommel was treated after he was strafed by Charlie Fox near Liverpool.